What's good, King Ganda? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another collaboration. And we are here with a very lovely African superstar. We'll have her introduce herself.
The one and only, back at it again. It's the one and only African superstar. Shout outs to Kinganda, my brother O'Shea Duke Jackson. I'm so happy to be here coming live from Accra, Ghana.
Give her a round of applause. So guys, I gotta hopefully y'all share this video so it makes so much money so we can get her to come out here and be on the Pan African Dating Show. She's a player. But in today, that's what we're talking about. Is dating. So we do this pretty much like every 2 years. Let's try to do like every year or something like that. And This is 2025. And of course, you've been living in Ghana. I remember when
since 2020. Yep.
When I was going to tell you what to do, you still didn't listen, but that's okay. But today's topic: dating in America or dating in Black America. Because you Caribbean, but you went to Baptist church, everything. You basically
grew up, born and raised in Ohio. Yes,
right. Black community.
Theo.
And now you are out there living your young, rich, and African lifestyle in Ghana, right? So let's talk about. Let's start off with which one do you prefer? Just out the gate.
Well, I mean, obviously, I like it here in Ghana. Okay. So yeah, I would definitely say I prefer this environment more.
Okay. What is the what so kind of take me like what was it like dating in Black, pro-Black like me, so dating in Black America or the diaspora, because I know it's African Americans, Africans, Caribbeans. What is it like there dating
here in Ghana?
No, Black America.
Oh, in America. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm a little far removed, so maybe there's been a big change.
We can include that because you lived in the UK for a
minute. Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that the stereotypes, unfortunately, for Black women in the Western world are really, really negative. I think sometimes those negative, stereotypes have been blown out of proportion, and they are now being attributed to a large range of us of whom they do not apply. And so I felt, for my experience, unfortunately, I just wasn't happy with the way relationships were progressing. I wasn't happy also with a lot of the, baggage that people were bringing to relationships. I mean, a lot of the young men, I moved in my early 30s out of the US. So prior to that, I had dated a couple few serious relationship with Black Americans in university. And then I got married, and, the men that I dated before I got married, it just seemed like the relationships just took a long time to matriculate and progress. Okay. A lot of my non-Black peers, they would get married in their early 20s, or, if they had like a university boyfriend, usually they'd get engaged and get married. Unfortunately, that wasn't as prevalent among our guys. And it's not to say there aren't good Black American men. I know that there are. The guys I dated were good guys. But, it just didn't progress the way that I wanted it to. Unfortunately. Now, when I moved to the UK, I would say there was probably a bit more of cultural difference for me, because the British guys had a stereotype of American girls. Okay. And I didn't fit that bill. They kind of looked at American girls as like good time girls, fun girls. When they would approach me, they want to talk about Beyonce and love and hip hop, and do you smoke, and do you have tattoos? And so they kind of had this like idealistic image of a Black girl. And I actually was told on more than one occasion, you're really serious. Like, they didn't really, they thought, obviously they had different expectations of who I should be. And so I lived in the UK for about 3.5 years. I had about 2 boyfriends there before I moved to Ghana. So I think just me personally as an individual, some of my personal values are more aligned with the cultural ways here in Ghana. So it's been a much better dating experience for me.
What are those cultural ways that are more aligned to you?
Well, I would say, I believe in settling down. I don't want to have kids like out of wedlock. I'm into people that are okay having relationships, want families eventually, don't mind getting married, those kind of things. I mean, that's how I was brought up. So that's what I want. And I see that the men, and I just think it has to do a lot with the environment. Here, cohesive families and multi-generational families are very, very common. And so a lot of the young men here, that's the exposure that they have had. So getting married is not necessarily such a hurdle or such a foreign thing. It's kind of a rite of passage. It's a rite of manhood. And consequently, a lot of people do, because they know that eventually one day they want to get married and settle down, they're a lot less likely to procreate outside of a marital situation, which I really like that, because, when you meet people, you kind of have to take on what they have if they're in their life. And so if they're having children all over the place or that kind of thing, dramas, you have to take that in. And I don't really want to deal with that. So yes. Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I've also noticed that to be the case here in Uganda. So I definitely can agree with that. Even when you go to the mall is so much more of a family thing.
Family place.
People are
not. They take the kids, go take them for ice cream or
yeah.
And it's really beautiful to see.
The elevators. I mean, just it's just the stairways. You don't see people just like in America in the mall. People on their phone, they don't even really realize you're there.
Interact. Yeah.
People are speaking. They're hanging out with their people. The Christian community is there. The Muslim community is there.
Yeah.
And just a big bond. That's one thing I love about Uganda, is that big family sort of cohesive
environment.
I don't see that in the States. So,
and the kids are like really well mannered here in Ghana. Like when I'm out and about, any child in uniform, they always say, good afternoon, auntie. Good afternoon. How are you? They always greet. And it's so nice and so sweet, and it's community oriented. And I'm someone who really loves that. And so, I obviously, I think in the Western world, we're definitely groomed to be a lot more individualistic, and a lot of us, that's how we function. But here it's a lot more communal, and I really like that. I think they kind of take in the concept of it takes a village, which is an African proverb. It takes a village to raise a child, and that's how they see it, and that's what I love. And so, and I think also the gentlemen here, a lot of them, I haven't really encountered just like so much overt negativity towards women. Unfortunately, a lot of the Western brothers, they just have like a lot of negativity towards women, whether or not it pertains to you. Now, I don't negate that there are some bad girls out there, some irresponsible mothers and that kind of thing. But I mean, even if we look at like a lot of the content of this gender war that goes on, unfortunately, a lot of those brothers are coming out of the West. And so it makes for a very chaotic dating environment when you are someone who wants to have a family, settle down, you want to do things properly, it makes it a bit more challenging. So I think on that front, it's definitely a lot easier. And then the other aspect is the type of men that I like, they also like me here in this setting. Versus in the Western world, our men are a lot more open to different opportunities. They're dating interracially, they're part of the homosexual community, and it also reduces the eligible pool. So here in Ghana, 9 times out of 10, if I look at a guy that I might find attractive, he also might find me attractive, and that just kind of breaks down us coming together and us being able to fraternize or begin the relationship.
So, very strong points. Let me kind of talk about, I guess, the men being a little bit more toxic in America. There are so many videos. I saw some brothers in Washington, D.C., New York, and they're talking about like men don't want to kind of come to like singles events as much. So that's been like a real big thing in America. We have a speed dating event that's coming out on the 14th, and one thing I noticed that was very different is that like 400 of the signups are from Ugandan men. Like,
wow.
they want to meet and
They want,
interact with the women,
yeah, want to have
as
couples.
much as the women want to, right? And
Yeah.
when you're seeing some of the American guys, it's like, F that B, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
and I mean, I've dealt with that because I definitely would say, you know, a lot of the regurgitated information I hear about women being difficult and women being outlandish, or they have a lot of baggage and they have kids and all this stuff. Like, none of that stuff applies to me. You know, I'm educated, I'm world traveled, I'm independent, I'm, you know, I'm an eligible girl. And but, you know, those stereotypes would be thrust upon me, and it's just like, this doesn't even apply. So what that says to me is like, you're not even looking objectively at maybe potential partners. You're coming into relationships with these stereotypes, so you're already, or maybe you just look at someone and you say, you know, she's got this or she's got that, and you don't even know the person, you know. Because I know, for instance, there are a lot of single women with no children, you know, that are independent, you know, beautiful. I mean, you know, and so it makes it really complicated. But yeah, you're right. I don't know where all of this is actually stemming from, because the reality is that single men and single women in the Western world actually do want partners, as evidenced by, you know, the passport bro movement, online dating. You know, they're still searching, they're still hooking up, they're still making babies. But in terms of deciding to make that commitment or be an item or be, you know, an expressed couple, that's where the issues lie. So I don't know. But I'm the type that I'm like, I really like a man to let me know his intentions and us move that way. And so it has been a lot easier on that front. Now, I will definitely acknowledge that cultural difference is a factor if you're going to be from the Western world dating in Africa. And also, you need to assess that partner and see what their motives are, because realistically, a lot of people here, they do want to travel abroad, and they will see that Westerner as perhaps the vehicle to do that. And when that happens, they're willing to, you know, wine and dine you or sweet talk you or whatever to get that. So that's very important that you do try to assess your partner. But like O'Shea said, there are people that are a lot more open to having relationships, getting married, creating families, and so on and so forth.
Okay, let me discuss one thing, because I understand that, you know, in America, a lot of the sisters will be like, when, you know, we talk about standards for the black man, you know, he need to make a certain amount of money, he need to have this, he need to have that. Then when I see some of these sisters in Africa, it's not uncommon to see, like, there's some stories in Tanzania where you will see like 50-year-old lady with like a 22-year-old dude. The dude's like 6'2", nobody, but he's might be out there swinging and hanging, I don't know.
He's clapping.
Yeah, he definitely, that's definitely, it's a lot of booty clapping, Pan-African booty clapping.
It's a lot of that. It's a lot of that.
It's a lot. I'm glad that I'm saved and sanctified and I ain't doing none of that, but I heard about it through the grapevine, as Ray Charles
What do y'all
said.
think? Do y'all think O'Shea is saved or sanctified?
Marvin Gaye said it too. I heard it through the grapevine. But what was it? You know, that's what I heard. But I noticed that there is also issues like, in America, a black woman is looking more for a man that can be a provider, because there's so many black men that could, even if they're poor, they could get access to wealth. When you're a lady in the diaspora, so many times I'm seeing a lot of ladies that come from the African American community, or even the black diaspora community in the UK or here, and they're dealing with a guy that's from here, and that man may not be able to provide to maybe what she's used to. So what is that power dynamic like for the women that you talk to? And is that an issue if, you know, a man doesn't have what you have in Africa? Is that like, because a lot of the guys that have money are already gone in a lot of these countries, right? They're already gone. Like, it's right. And these dudes are like gods here. So how does that happen? Like, how do you?
I think realistically, black women are a lot more malleable than they are portrayed to be, you know. And I think this is evidenced by a lot of women sticking by their man and trying to hold him down and being with him through various struggles and all of that. I think, honestly, a lot of Black men are just not giving in the Western world. I just think they're not giving Black women a chance, because that's why they're coming here and dealing with men that may not have the financial background, or dealing with men that are younger, or dealing with men that are kind of in need, is because they see that potential in him. And because he's showing interest, and because maybe he's giving her, affection, sexual relationship, because of this dynamic in the West, a lot of people are lonely. There are women that have literally not had relationships for years or decades in the Western world. So obviously, if they come to the continent, they meet a handsome, buff guy, or a nice guy, friendly guy, helpful guy, they would be willing to overlook some of his shortcomings. And I think that dynamic is being definitely illuminated. Now, I would say with the age gap, what could be possibly fueling that is a bit of loneliness and desperation. Because realistically, a 50-year-old woman hooking up with a 19-year-old or early 20-something, she must know that the future prospects of this relationship is not realistic. You know what I mean? Unless you come in for the fun. You want some passport bro, passport sis, you just want to hook up and have fun, then that's fine. But in terms of like really looking at it as a serious relationship, it's really not probable. He's probably an opportunist. She's probably an opportunist. And that's the reality, But obviously when emotions and sex and these things enter the equation, people lose their senses and lose their logic and go down that road. And I mean, that's been going on for centuries,
Okay, so let me ask you this then, because in 2025, I think we did this episode. We do it almost every 1 year or 2 years as an update.
Yeah,
twice or third time doing it. You told me that women such as yourself, and on our last episode that we're going to air before this one that I've aired, you talked about you didn't have to go through so many issues that a lot of the diasporas went through, and I attributed that to the fact that you are a female. That may have helped. So, also, you've done concerts, you've done all kind of stuff, you've gotten into certain things. So, are women such as yourself, Black American women, are you ladies treated as queens in Ghana by the local men?
It could be. I mean, obviously, you're going to get some preferential treatment. It depends. I mean,
give me some example of preferential treatments. I've already expressed certain ways you've already been able to get that treatment. But what other ways do you get preferential treatment over somebody who is not somebody who may be a local Ghanaian woman?
Okay, so I would say among locals, first of all, the age gap is really frowned upon. Older women dating younger men, it's among the locals, and I don't know if this is the same in Uganda, you like almost would never see it, or it would really be frowned upon. More or less because marriages or relationships, they go through the family vetting. And usually because the prospect is when a man is choosing a wife, that her fertility is going to be considered. So typically this is why they would prefer for him to go for a younger woman, or at least his age mate, because it's more probable that she'll be able to give birth. If you're significantly older than him, then either or you already have children from previous relationships, or you don't want more kids, that right there would just nullify the relationship. So obviously foreign women are over, bypassing that, because that's a big deal. And also, being able to do a lot of the domestic things here in Ghana, for instance, like cooking their local dishes, that's quite standard in homes. A lot of foreign women either don't know about it, they may not cook very often, or they may not know how to cook these African dishes. African men will overlook that a lot of times. And I mean, just the way that they interact with you. In some cases, African men will go above and beyond, try to be more romantic, try to be more accommodating than they are with their country women. And this has been evidenced like through TikTok. TikTok even talks about this. about how, I think there's kind of levels. So there's the Black American or the diaspora level, and then there's the white level, but we kind of encounter this also among Black American men, where we would see how they might pamper, white women, like Kanye West, for instance, putting a white woman that's been a part of sex tapes on this major pedestal, parading her out there like she's top notch. And it's just like, if that was a Black girl, we know that, that would not be the same treatment. So right. I think that those are some of the things, that I know go on with diasporan ladies.
Right. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like you get the same amount? Because you did mention white. I don't know how many whites are in Ghana, but you did express that, since you've been coming there, you were one of the first people to go in 2016, and you have seen not just Black Americans or the diaspora or Jamaicans, but you've seen the influx of also the
right.
white hype,
yes.
what I call it.
Yes.
The
yes.
white keeper hype showed up. And so and they're in Accra, and all throughout the country. So with this to be said, do you feel when you go out and you're in the mall and something, and do you see or hear that African men, because you do have some privilege, do you think that the Black diaspora women are on the same level as privilege as the white keep it hype?
No. I think and I mean, I guess that's a testament to colonialism around the world. The white woman is an infatuation for a lot of our brothers, and in a setting like in the African world where it's very homogeneous, they would be seen as exotic, or something that's like less attainable because there's not a lot of them around. So obviously that's like probably the top of the totem pole, unfortunately. But beneath that would be foreigners, and a lot of that has to do with, again, their access to the Western world, and a lot of access to the Western world, access to resources, because we don't really talk about it, but there are a lot of male gold diggers, and they look for ways to escalate through women. So obviously, if that type of woman, if she has assets or she has, exposure or means, then that's going to elevate her to some people. Now, there are some brothers that don't want foreign women at all because they feel like the cultural differences are too different, And I know I was having a conversation with my significant other, and we were talking about how, how he grew up and his parents were always speaking the local language in the house. And that's how he learned it, because they taught him English at school. And we were having this conversation, and I said to him, well, how do you feel about potentially having a partner that doesn't speak your language, that you would have to be speaking English with? And he's like, well, obviously you're a foreigner, so I know that. Like, I wouldn't be dating you if I didn't understand that. And that's something that I would deal with. But yeah, so there are some brothers that would say, I would, like the guy that you had recently on your podcast, who said he traveled to Canada and, he was curious about the ladies. He tried one of them or some of them or whatever. And then he decided, what, I prefer just to have a Ugandan lady to settle down with. So it just really depends. But I think just off of surface, definitely. And then, I mean, appearance wise, we look a bit different in some cases. So there's that exoticism that comes with it, because obviously, like places like Uganda, there's a lot of dark skinned ladies. So with this whole colorism thing, fair skinned ladies or light skinned ladies or mixed race ladies, there's a sliding scale for that,
Definitely.
but white is literally at the top, Yeah, so it is what it is, but I think that there's just a lot more potential opportunity, because for me, I'm anti-swirl. See, I'm Black lover, stay single. So my partner, my partner is going to be a Black man.
Hello. We hard body.
Period.
We don't pay that.
Yeah, I'm not. I know a lot of y'all divesting, y'all giving up on Black love. Not me. I believe in the Black umbrella. So if it ain't working where you're at, you can check out some different locations. There are Black people globally now, any flavor. So
we're extreme. That's one thing we agree on. We extremes what we do. We live what we talking about.
I just, so for me, there's a lot of options here, for the type of man I like. There's just an abundance versus in the UK in a day, I might see a couple brothers that maybe I'm attracted to, and then I gotta assess, okay, is he a gay? Is he a transgender? Does he even like black girls? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Right.
crazy. But
I
here,
heard them brothers out there be swirling it up, and you brother in the UK. Boy, I
in the
heard about
UK,
it all,
it's
bro.
wild. And you know what? For members of the diaspora, whenever I go back to the Western world, I'm like, wow, the mixing is a lot. Like, the mixing out there is a lot. And it's why they can actually recognize us when we come here, because their genes are so, they've been procreating with each other for centuries and they haven't been mixing. So that's why their genes are so strong and pronounced. Meanwhile, with us, we have a lot of things in our background sometimes, and we look different, genetically. So when I first came, I was like, wow, how does everywhere I go, people just, they know. But when I go back out there now and I come and I'm like, I see, I understand. But there's a lot. I mean, you'll be hard pressed unless the person is a black migrant from Jamaica or Africa. A lot of people are mixed race in the UK. It's almost like going to South Africa. Like, you barely see black people unless they are West Africans or, Caribbeans, because the mixing is lightening up our people, So, yeah. So I just think for me, there's a lot more of the variety of type of guys I like. The type of future goals I have are a lot lined with African goals. A man here would not ask me to have a child for him before we get married. Like, he just wouldn't. Right. Okay. Yeah, and I like the framework around having a family, and I like the fact that men, albeit they may be having a lot of relationships or whatever, I like the fact that they're responsible enough to try to prevent, unwanted pregnancies. There are some that happen. Obviously, people have abortions around the world and all of that. But I think there must be a much more of a concerted effort from the men on the continent to prevent unwanted pregnancies, because out of wedlock pregnancies are not as popular here as they are in the Western world. Okay.
Take me, like, because a lot of the brothers. This is not everybody. I mean, that's probably with the age group. Some a millennial. Well, I'm getting old, so I'm in my 40s. But some of these
Zaddy
brothers now.
O'Shea is zaddy now, y'all.
Y'all young ladies. Some of y'all.
You got a pot belly? You got a pot belly yet?
Not really. It's not that pronounced, but
okay.
Some ladies in the diaspora too now. Don't y'all can get it too, but so a lot of the brothers now is talking about what's that new thing they're talking about, like soft guy era or soft dude era.
Oh God. Oh man. Princesses.
Soft what? Soft what?
Soft soft guy era.
Yeah, soft guy era. A lot of dudes is 50-50. So that's what some of the younger guys are saying, or maybe even guys my age are saying, hey, 50-50. Take me through a typical date in Ghana. Who pays? Are they on that 50-50 stuff when somebody wants to date you? What is the man's responsibility in a relationship? Like, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to. You know what I mean? Here in Ghana, if like a man asks you out, he's supposed to cover it. He's supposed to provide transportation for you. I mean, that's normal, for me. If a guy asks me out and he doesn't have a car to pick me up, he'll either, send me fare for a taxi, or once I arrive, he'll settle the taxi, settle the day, and I mean, that's quite standard, and I've even had a guy who wanted to take me out, and I guess he needed to get his finances together, and he said, I really want to take you out, but I'm just waiting, for my payday, because he knew that, he right. needs to be responsible for that. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, here in Ghana, I mean, it's pay to play, really. I mean, these ladies here, they don't make any bones about, they want a man that can provide. And again, the social construct tells young boys that you're not a man unless you can provide and take care of your family. And so that's very instilled in them. And that's another way to kind of detect people that are users, because if you meet African men and they're okay asking you to do this, asking you for money, as you know, they are not the real deal, because real African men are going to, it struggles, it pains them to ask you for things, money. You know, because it makes them feel like they're not a man, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how it's going. Now, in my own personal relationship, you know, I know that obviously my boyfriend would say I'm expensive, you know. My lifestyle here is more, you know, he works, he's a teacher, obviously, so he's getting his salary here and whatnot. So sometimes I just say, hey, you know, do you want to go here and there? And sometimes I just treat him too. But he does take me out, and he does, because I realize that obviously the discrepancy, you know, the financial discrepancy is probably there. You know, he's doing well for a local Ghanaian, but compared to me as a diasporan and the income that I have, it's, you know, it's going to be a big difference. But I appreciate that he never asked me for things. You know, he has his own place, he has his own job, he's independent, and you know, so that's good.
Okay. No. That's excellent. And so, I'm seeing some differences. Any negatives that you say you would think, like, you know, being a Black woman living in now in Accra, what's, because I know some things may have changed just in the city of Accra, may have become a little bit more fast paced in 2025.
Yeah. I mean,
now in the culture,
Accra is like New York, you know, and I think big cities across the world, they draw and attract hustlers. And then because of the expense of living here and the fast pace, and then obviously a lot of foreigners are coming here. And in as much some continentals have their motives, some foreigners also do too. You know, they're coming here, they want to party, they're coming for hookups and, you know, whatever. So it's a lot goes on in the city. But I would say the drawbacks would be that some young men are struggling, you know, because of the economy. They know that they need to be stable to pursue relationships and have families, but for one reason or another, they are not stable because they haven't found a job or they're struggling financially. So that would delay them. I have met some really nice men, really great guys, but they've told me, like, look, I cannot manage a relationship with you. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not in a position, you know. I know one young man, he graduated university, and like for 3 years, he couldn't find a job in his field, you know, so he was hustling, trying to survive. And he was a really nice guy, totally my taste. But he just came out and told me straight up, hey, look, you know, I know what's required in a relationship. I can't provide it. I really care about you, but, you know, this can't move forward or not now. And I don't want to delay you, you know, kind of thing. So that's one of the challenges. Obviously, then the perception that you're rich, you will attract users in some cases. So you have to decipher that. And cultural differences can be really hard for some Western ladies. Like, I'd say if you the boss chick, independent girl, you know, you would need to kind of mind that or tone that down, because men here, they don't like being talked to anyway. They're used to being looked at and respected in their society, head of household. And so you kind of need to know how to communicate successfully with your man. And if you're the type of woman, you talk crazy and you send insults and you swear, and you know, that's not going to work well with the brothers. So here in Africa, so there are clearly defined gender roles here. You know, there are gender roles here. So
you understand that?
Yeah.
Grab one of them sandals and go upside your head. I've heard of that happening too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, these men, in my opinion, African men are very gentle. They're very mild-mannered, but they have a breaking point. And so in some situations, you know, if you egg on a situation or you're very disrespectful, I mean, a situation could go from 0 to 100. I've never personally seen it done. It's never happened to me, but I'm a very respectful person whenever I'm interacting with men in general. So, you know, but I do know some of the ladies from the West, because of their interactions there or how they've had relationships with men there, they come and bring that ideology here, and it's not going to serve them well. I would say a point to learn is to kind of begin to observe how the local women are, you know, or how they interact around men. take some pointers, you know, and if you can, you know, maybe you create some friendships with local women, and they can also provide you some insight as to relationships, what's normal, what's not normal, you know, how things are done culturally. And, you know, I have to give big shout outs to some of my girlfriends here in Ghana that have helped me to learn a lot of things culturally and family norms and those kind of things to understand. So that's what's given me success. You know, I've had a few relationships here. Unfortunately, one of the most serious ones, he moved to the UK. But yeah. That was I really, that was a serious one. I think probably had he not moved, we probably would have continued on in that relationship. But the person I'm dating now is excellent. You know, I'm really happy with him, and we've known each other for quite a while. So we hope for the best, you know. But I'm navigating the continent just like anybody else, ups and downs, but just trying to make sure I select the right person.
Okay, cool. So Superstar gave me so we had a part, it's like a third version of this that we've done on the channel. Maybe we'll, you know, be linking up. So you guys support us by sharing the video so I can get some more money to give to her, because she's gonna be like, I know that video made some money. You need to break me off.
Y'all know O'Shea is rich, seriously. O'Shea is rich for real. But he deserves it though. He works really hard. You guys may not know how hard he works behind the scenes, but he's literally built this business in Uganda from the ground up. And I'm so proud of him, among others that are leaving their imprint on the continent. We are a beacon of hope and light to other members across the diaspora. So I'm really proud of you. I might tease you, but yeah, I'm very proud of you. And I think you deserve all the wealth that your business generates.
I need it. I'm broke. I'm getting broke now. So guys, subscribe after Superstar, and first comment pinned to the top. We are out.